You must want to be different and intend to be before you can begin to change yourself. Then you must make your future dream a present fact. You do this by assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled. By desiring to be other than what you are, you can create an ideal of the person you want to be and assume that you are already that person. If this assumption is persisted in until it becomes your dominant feeling, the attainment of your ideal is inevitable. The ideal you hope to achieve is always ready for an incarnation, but unless you yourself offer it human parentage, it is incapable of birth. Therefore, your attitude should be one in which, having desired to express a higher state, you alone accept the task of incarnating this new and greater value of yourself.
Spread love, man.
All right, get ready, because today we're really going to dig into something that might just kind of flip your perspective.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like what if I told you we've got way more power to shape our own reality than we think?
Okay, now you've got my attention, and I bet our listeners are hooked too.
And the best part is, this isn't some new age thing. We're going way back to the teachings of Neville Goddard.
Right, a really prominent figure back in the mid-20th century. People still find his ideas incredibly relevant, even today.
Absolutely. So for this deep dive, you sent over this fascinating clip of one of Goddard's lectures where he talks about, get this, the power of assumption.
The power of assumption.
Yeah, basically he's saying that everything we experience, good or bad, directly reflects what's going on inside our own minds, our thoughts, feelings, you name it.
So our internal world shapes our external world. It's kind of like that self-fulfilling prophecy idea, right?
Exactly. But Goddard takes it even further. He uses this really vivid analogy of rain.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Rain.
Yeah, think about it. Rain doesn't just come out of nowhere, right? It happens because of very specific conditions in the atmosphere.
True. Got to have the right atmospheric pressure, humidity, all of that.
Right. So Goddard's saying our inner world, our consciousness, that's like the atmosphere. Just like a shift in the atmosphere can cause rain, a shift in our consciousness can create real changes in our lives, in our external reality.
Okay, now that's a powerful image. But if our thoughts are so potent, are we really using that power to its full potential?
That is the million-dollar question, and it's what we're going to unpack today.
I'm ready.
Goddard didn't just talk about this power. He laid out a step-by-step process for making it work, for putting this power of assumption into action.
Like a recipe for consciously creating our desired reality.
I like that. A recipe for reality. So first ingredient.
Desire. Got to start with a burning desire, something you really, really want.
Okay, that makes sense. But we all have things we want, right? So what's the secret sauce? What makes that desire actually manifest?
Well, it's not enough to just kind of wish for it, right?
Right.
Goddard was a big believer in living as if your desire was already a reality.
Living as if, okay, now I'm not totally following. If I'm dreaming of, say, a new job, I can't just walk into some fancy office and pretend to be the CEO, right?
Well, not exactly. It's more about embodying the feeling. Like really feeling what it would be like to already have that job. Imagine yourself rocking it in that new role, handling those responsibilities, that sense of accomplishment, the whole 9 yards.
Oh, okay. So like maybe I'd update my resume, start networking in that field, act in alignment with that reality, even if it's not here yet.
Exactly. Shift your mindset, your actions, even your energy to match the outcome you want.
Okay, starting to click now. But Goddard didn't just stop there, did he? He takes this idea of living as if to another level.
He does. And he uses this incredibly vivid example, the moth.
A moth.
Yeah, he says the moth is so drawn, so helplessly drawn to the flame it throws itself in, becomes one with it. And that's the level of total immersion he's talking about when it comes to our desires. No hesitation, no doubt, just complete surrender to that feeling of already having it.
Okay, now that is intense. So it's not just thinking it, it's feeling it with like every fiber of your being.
And this is where it really begs the question. Can just changing how we feel about our goals actually make a difference in whether they come true?
Whoa. So our feelings are like a form of energy, an energy we're putting out there that can shape the world around us.
That's the question, isn't it? And it's a question Goddard definitely thought the answer to was yes.
Wow, okay. But he didn't just leave us with feelings, did he? There's got to be more.
Right. He gives us a tool to work with.
Oh, What's that?
Our imagination. In fact, he goes as far as to say, imagination is the only redemptive power in the universe.
Whoa. Okay, now that's a bold statement. He's really putting a lot of weight on the power of imagination. Okay, so this whole imagination thing, it's powerful, right? But are we really using it right? Or are we, like, accidentally imagining all the worst case scenarios instead of our dream outcomes?
It's so easy to fall into that trap, right? And, Goddard would probably say we actually sabotage our imaginations all the time with doubt, fear, limiting beliefs.
Oh, totally. Like, we say we want something, but deep down, not really sure we deserve it or even if it's possible.
Exactly. And that's where belief comes in. Goddard was adamant about this, to really tap into this power of assumption. We can't just kind of sort of believe. We got to fully embrace the belief that we're already living that dream life.
It's like whether you believe you can or you can't, you're right.
Exactly. And Goddard even quotes John 8:24. If you believe not that I am he shall die in your sins. Now look, put aside any religious stuff for a second. The point is, it's all about the power of belief to shape our reality.
Okay, I'm with you. Belief as this bridge between what we imagine and what actually shows up. But what about when things don't work out? We can visualize, we can believe, and still get a big fat no. What did Goddard say about that?
Well, this is where things get a little controversial. Goddard was pretty much convinced that if you haven't achieved something, it's because somewhere, deep down, you don't truly believe you can.
Whoa. Okay, so maybe there's a little seed of doubt we're not even aware of holding us back.
Right. It's a lot of responsibility, right? We have more control than we think, but it can be kind of daunting. What if we're the ones accidentally getting in our own way?
No kidding. But here's the thing. If we can actually learn to identify those hidden beliefs, the ones that aren't doing us any favors.
And we unlock a whole other level.
Exactly. So how do we do that? How do we even figure out what we actually believe deep down? Because honestly, sometimes I don't even know.
Well, according to Goddard, it all starts with awareness. Where we put our attention is crucial, because wherever our attention goes, our energy flows. And that energy, powered by our thoughts and beliefs, that's what shapes things.
So if we're constantly thinking about what we don't want, all those fears, are we actually, like, giving them more power?
It's like watering a weed you're trying to get rid of. If you keep giving it attention, it's going to keep growing.
Oh, man. Okay, that makes sense, but also feels overwhelming. Am I supposed to be, like, policing my every thought now, squashing any negativity that pops up?
See, that's a common misunderstanding. Goddard wasn't about suppression.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he thought trying to force positive thinking was actually counterproductive, like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. You can do it for a bit, but it's going to pop back up with even more force.
So what, just let those negative thoughts run wild then?
Not exactly. It's about awareness without judgment. Goddard called it detached observation. We notice those thoughts, those feelings, but we don't get swept away by them.
So, like, we're watching our minds, not getting totally absorbed by them.
Yes, we step back and remember we have a choice. Choose our thoughts, choose our feelings, and ultimately choose our reality.
Instead of trying to be positive 24/7, we can just acknowledge, okay, this thought is here, but I don't have to give it power.
You got it. Shift that attention, that energy, to what you do want. And Goddard actually had some really specific techniques for doing just that.
Techniques! Now you're speaking my language. Tell me more.
Okay, one of the most famous ones is called revision.
Revision, like editing a paper.
Kind of. It's about revisiting past experiences in your imagination, but changing the ending, changing the story you tell yourself. Like, say you totally bombed a job interview. We've all been there, right?
Don't remind me, interviewing is not my superpower.
Right. But with revision, you close your eyes, go back to that interview, and you imagined it going perfectly. You aced those questions, totally clicked with the interviewer, walked out feeling amazing.
So it's like hitting rewind on a bad memory and giving it a total Hollywood makeover.
Exactly. And Goddard believed that if we revisit these past experiences, revising them in our imaginations, we can actually start to change those subconscious beliefs, those ingrained patterns, and that eventually it shows up in our real lives.
Wow. So it's not just daydreaming. It's like we're actively using our imaginations to rewrite the entire script. Past, present, future.
That's the idea. Because our imaginations are infinitely more powerful than we give them credit for. We can literally reshape our reality with them.
Okay, I'm going to need a minute to process all of this because, wow, we have this power to shape our own reality. We can use our imagination to, like, rewrite the story of our lives.
It's a lot, right? But it really all boils down to that core idea, the power of assumption. What we truly believe deep down is what we tend to see play out in our lives.
So to change our reality, we got to start by changing what we believe. Easier said than done, right?
It can be tricky, yeah. But Goddard wasn't saying to force ourselves to believe something we just don't. It's more about figuring out what beliefs aren't really working for us anymore and then consciously swapping them out for some new ones.
Okay, but how do we actually do that? Sometimes I don't even know what I actually believe until it, like, blows up in my face.
Right, that those unconscious beliefs can really trip us up. And that's where our imagination swoops in to save the day again.
Oh, tell me more.
It's all about consistently visualizing those things we want, really feeling what it would feel like to have them. That's how we start shifting those old, stubborn beliefs.
So we're essentially like training our minds to buy into a totally new reality, one we get to choose this time.
That's a great way to put it. And the more we can focus on that new reality, the more it becomes real in our minds and eventually in our actual experience.
It all goes back to that idea that our imaginations are more powerful than we realize. We're not just messing around with daydreams here. We're talking about consciously creating our lives.
Exactly. And look, this doesn't mean pretending that life is all sunshine and rainbows or ignoring the hard stuff. It's about knowing we've got options. We can choose how we respond, even when things get tough.
So it's not about denying the challenges, it's about facing them with a different mindset, knowing we actually have more power than we usually give ourselves credit for.
Exactly. We may not always be able to control the things that happen to us, but we get to choose how we react, how we let it affect us.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation. Makes you really stop and think. What if we all fully embraced this power of assumption, this idea that we can create whatever reality we set our minds to?
That's the question, isn't it? What part of your life would you change if you knew, without a shadow of a doubt, that anything was possible?
Wow, what a question. I think I might spend the rest of the day thinking about that one. It really seems like the only limits are the ones we put on ourselves, on what we believe we can do and be.
I think Goddard would definitely agree with that.
Well, I know I've got some serious pondering to do. This has been amazing. Thanks so much for taking this deep dive with me into the power of assumption. And to everyone listening, until next time, keep those imaginations going strong and remember, you might just be more powerful than you realize.